I've spoken about selling video games to CEX in the past, and a lot of people said that they actually do it, which took me by surprise. They offer far less than places like eBay or Vinted or Facebook or even car boot sales. So it did take me by surprise that so many of you choose CEX as a place to sell your video games. I was recently in a car boot sale and I saw a stall that had hundreds of video games just thrown all over the floor. That is going to be in an upcoming series video. It's taken me a long time to edit it, so this is why this video's come out first, so look out for that. But this guy was selling off a collection that he'd bought. A lot of these games were in sort of cellophane sleeves, and they were mostly PS2, and they were just all over the place. So I'm having a little look through, and I'm having a check to see if the games are the ones that I want. I'm trying to find the value, and someone asks him, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for all this? He said, well, I got everything that you see here, and I've sold a lot already, and I got loads of consoles and some higher priced items for $1,000, which, seeing the stack on the floor, was a little bit surprising because that is not that much money to pay for all of these games just by themselves without all the consoles and the higher priced items that he claimed he'd already sold. So everything on the floor was generally £1, and he said he had around 600 games that he brought with him that day. So he was about to make 60% of the money back if he just sold everything that you see at the boot sale, and then all of his money besides. He says he's done very well out of it, which I can believe. So I'm going through and I pick my games and I buy selection and I walk away, and then when I'm at home I'm sat down and I'm thinking, would I have done the same thing? Would I have just gone, look, I can't be bothered, I'm going to sell everything that I know is worth money on eBay or wherever he sold it, and then I'm going to take the rest of the boot sale, let it all go for £1 each, whatever, and just get the cash and run and move on to the next deal? Would I have done that? No I wouldn't have, because I try to squeeze every single penny that I can out of each and individual item. It's one of the reasons why I can't use the CEX cash system. They don't offer me enough, and I know I can get more if I put it on eBay. Even if it's £1 more after fees, I still feel like I've had the better deal. And these PS2 games on the floor, they weren't worth £1. I mean, some of them were worth even less, but some of them were worth 2, 3, 5, 10. I saw someone pick up a pretty good game that was worth around 16 quid in CEX. So not bad. And if he'd had the patience to go through it, he could have made a hell of a lot more money than selling them for £1 each. And that got me thinking, he could have made a hell of a lot more had he gone through it all, taken all of the games that were £5 or more out and sold them individually online, and then maybe taken the rest into CEX and let them have it. Or he could have taken them to the boot sale as he did. All these games were in immaculate condition. The discs didn't have a mark. CEX would not have had a problem had he just taken them all in. Maybe they wouldn't have done it all in one go, because 600 games to process would have taken a hell of a long time. However, it would have been quite simple and he would have got a decent amount of money for it. But he went one step further and he took it to the boot sale, and he was going to get £1 an item. He probably wouldn't have sold them all, but he did sell a massive chunk of those games, because I went round about 3 times in that boot sale, and every time I went round the stack was just smaller and smaller and smaller. So he did really well. But that did get me thinking, where do you sell your video games? We've spoken about CEX, and a lot of people said, yeah, I do take games into CEX, but it's not exclusive. I'm guessing you wouldn't take in a brand new release. For example, had you just picked up Zelda on the Switch and you finished it and you're not really a collector, where would you take it? Would you take it to CEX and trade it in, or would you stick it on Facebook, eBay, Vinted, for example? I would really like to know. But I'm going to share with you my favourite place to sell video games. I think you know where it is, but let's talk about eBay first. So eBay is obviously very, not convenient necessarily, but a very good and probably the most popular place to sell video games. It does have drawbacks, first of which is customers on eBay can be a pain in the arse. And I'll tell you why, because once I sold Time Crisis on the PS3, it was in perfect condition. Honestly, the person who had this before me took the cellophane off it, sniffed it, put it on the shelf, didn't play it. It was immaculate. I sold it as such, and I had a complaint. That's the one thing that frustrates me about eBay, is the return policy favours the buyer, 9 times out of 10 anyway. He claimed that there were some fingerprints on the disc. There wasn't. I didn't even touch the disc. I literally sold it and it was brand new. Honestly, this thing was immaculate. I never list things as brand new for this reason, but this was so good. It commanded a higher price because of the condition. I ended up having to partially refund him. I think I gave him back the postage because I couldn't be bothered to deal with the hassle, and eBay would have found in his favor anyway. So swings and roundabouts. That's stage one of selling on eBay. You do have to be wary of people like that. Then of course there's the fee you need to take out of it as well. And then if items go missing, it can be a bit of a pain. If it's a £10 item, it's not that big a deal, but trying to get your money back from the courier can sometimes be more trouble than it's worth. Having said that, eBay is still one of, if not my favorite place to sell items, just purely because of how fast things tend to sell. The customer base on eBay is enormous, and when you click global shipping, you open it up to the rest of the world. You literally have millions of people looking at your item, and it does tend to sell quite fast, especially if you are very well priced. When it comes to global shipping, you don't send it to that country, you send it to a distributor in the UK, and then they send it and they deal with the international shipping side of things. So all I have to do is spend £3 to send it to Leeds. But it is slowly dropping down my estimation, and that's because another platform is surging to the top, and I think you know what's coming because I go on about them all the time, and I wish they'd sponsor the channel. They're not going to because I give them free praise. Yes, it's Vinted. This place to buy video games, and not just video games, trainers, football tops, you name it, you can get bargains galore on this app. Some people have come to me and said that it's a little bit harder now because people are cottoning on, and some people have blamed me for making it harder, but I'm not the only one who praises Vinted. There are plenty of resellers and collectors who will go on about how good Vinted is. And I still find deals, so if I can find them, you can find them. And having said that, my wife finds bargains on there all the time. She has started a Nike Dunk / Air Jordan collection purely from Vinted. She bought one brand new pair, spent ridiculous money on them, and was like, I want to collect more of these, but they're just too expensive. And I said, well, have a look on Vinted. She did. She now has a lot. Every single one of these shoes cost her less than £15. Some of them were less than a tenner, and that's including the postage. They're all been checked and verified by us, not Vinted. They don't have the authentication system that eBay has, but the beautiful thing about Vinted is that they will soak up a lot of the costs. So if an item goes missing, you may have to wait 20 to 30 days for a resolution, but they will just give you your money back as the seller. They will also give the buyer their money back. The item is lost in limbo to be sold for £2 as a lucky dip in a car boot sale, but both parties get their money and both parties are therefore happy. For the most part anyway, the buyer probably did want their item, but it's great to know that Vinted will cover both sides. The other beautiful thing as a seller is that you don't have to do any of the chasing. Like I said, on eBay, I'm having to jump through hoops right now with Every to try and get my money back for a crappy £10 charger. But when it comes to Vinted, they do it all for me. I don't do anything. As soon as I've sent the item, I can sit back and relax and know that within 5 days or 30 days, I'm going to get my money. It is a bit of a pain that I may have to wait a month for my money if the item does go missing, but at least I know I'm going to get it. When it comes to eBay and me having to chase Every for my money, I've no confidence whatsoever that I'm going to get a refund. Where is your favourite place to buy and sell your video games? I know a lot of people will just use the trade system in CEX or other independent video game stores, and that's awesome. But when it comes to just getting pure hard cash, if you do buy and then maybe sell a video game, use that cash to buy the video game that you want, where do you sell that game? Do you put it on eBay? Have you started to use Vinted? Maybe you do have luck with Facebook Marketplace. Let me know in the comments. I still use eBay and I still list things on eBay, but Vinted is just so convenient for me as a seller, I will continue to use it. Providing they don't change the system by attempting to improve it and then end up ruining it. Realistically, I can see a lot of people moving over to Vinted from eBay. I don't think Vinted will ever overtake eBay because of the reach that eBay has, but Vinted is going to be a very, very solid place to buy and indeed sell items from now forward. If you want to check out another video from me, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.